XRCoon42 here. I'm having to re-record the detail segment here due to me botching my footage attempt the first time round. So this is being recorded after everything else you're seeing in the review for a couple of different reasons. My main thing is that most of my detail shots did not actually get in camera, which, you know, whoops. That out of the way, let's get going. Today I'm reviewing the Hornby Dublo Flying Scotsman Centenary model. I went for the present day condition model. So, big selling point of the Hornby Dublo range is the die-cast construction. Main body of the engine, running plate, smoke box, boiler, cab, all die-cast. Gives the model a very, very nice finish. Captures the look of the real engine quite nicely, I think. Now, the second thing they advertised when these were announced was a new tender coupling. You just pull it right apart. You just got a plug and socket. Just pull it apart and push it back in. I love this. Serviceability and user-friendliness goes through the roof. We've seen other manufacturers like Dapple using connectors like this, and I'm so glad Hornby are starting to use stuff like this now too. It also makes looking at some of the details a lot easier. Handling this for the camera is a lot easier now. So going from front to back, the number board, very crisply printed, separately applied. Very fine smoke box dart. Vacuum pipe on the buffer beam. Sprung buffers. Almost a standard at this point. And a detail I've never had an A3 with smoke deflectors before. The deflectors themselves are plastic, but their mountings are very, very sturdy. That doesn't feel like it's going to break anytime soon, even though the front end feels a little bit flimsy. We'll get back to that, though. The dome appears to also be plastic, which creates an uneven look, in my opinion. The lining is all very precise and crisp. Looks excellent. The safety valves, turned metal pieces. The whistle, which I'm actually pretty sure on this model is metal. You've got the vents on the cab roof. These little pieces, I think they're either sandboxes or lubricators. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on steam locomotives. I'm just a bit of a steam engine fanatic. We got more of this lovely crisp lining and this beautifully detailed late BR crest. Personally, I'm more of an early crest fan in terms of looks, but I'm a sucker for any well-done detail here. The axle boxes are all very well molded. And to be honest, I think this is the same corridor tender they use with their main range things. But we get all these around the back, we got all these lamp irons, handrails, this little porthole, the corridor molded here. Both sides are basically the same. Along the top, we got the corridor molded, water filler cap, and a removable coal load, if I can get it out. But it is removable, and there's detail down there. So now we'll reconnect her. And we'll transition, and I'll show you the performance test. And now we are trackside. Now, first things first, I know my track setup is not optimal. I'm working with what I've got. I'm looking at getting a proper baseboard so I at least have level track, but that hasn't happened quite yet. So for now, we'll just test it with this. I'm running on analog currently. So start edging the controller up. Up. See if we can get her to do a sustained crawl. Yeah, I found this during her break-in period too. She really struggles to do a sustained crawl, but once you kind of get to that point, she's perfectly smooth. Oh, must have cut out. Whoop. Derailment. My bad. This shows how much of an amateur at this I am. Let's see. Once she actually gets to a point where she's going... Once she actually gets to a point where she's going, she runs quite nicely. Took the switch without issues. See if we can get her to crawl. You see what? Once she's at that point on the speed, she kind of struggles to crawl a bit, which is a bit disappointing given her price tag. You see? But once you get to a certain point on the control dial, she speeds right back up. So, just a quick gripe I have with not just this, but a lot of other Hornby models. This little speedometer gizmo. I get why they put it there. It's a cool detail. It's accurate. But man, does it make accessibility and user-friendliness really annoying. Like, you could be handling this normally, your finger slips, and bam, it's broken. I've already have 3 different models that had that they broke just because my finger slipped. Very frustrating. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, value for money. The retail price for this was £362.99. I paid £300 for mine due to my US location exempting me from the VAT. That will convert roughly to $360 US at the current conversion rate. The big advertising point for these Dublo models is the die-cast construction. It's all over the page for just about everyone you look at. Die-cast construction, die-cast construction. Well, with this, if you remember from the detail section, yes, smokebox, boiler, firebox, cab, all that's die-cast. But the dome is plastic. Smoke deflectors, even though mounted well, are plastic. Lots of the separately fitted details are plastic. I'm pretty sure this pipe is plastic. And the tender body is plastic. So let's have a comparison. This is one of the new Hornby 9S that released last year. These retailed at £252.99. I got mine for £189 from the Model Center. These advertise their die-cast metal boilers. Now, this, the smokebox, firebox, cab, running plate, and boiler are all die-cast, but a lot of the detailing is plastic. This, I can tell some of the detailing at least is also metal, but the boiler and the firebox metal, that everything else is plastic, though still assembled quite nicely. This retailed for over £100 more. And what am I getting? About 25% more die cast? And an engine that struggles to crawl at all? Whereas this engine, I can tell you right now, actually does one of the better crawls in my fleet. My fleet that at this point has over 70 locomotives in it, by the way. Actually crawls, has less die cast, but £100 less in price. Versus this with advertised die cast construction, and that was a misleading claim at best. I did have another argument I was going to make, but that argument was originally going to be based on the assumption that this would be full die cast, which it's not, so I don't feel that argument is even worth making anymore. So, on to the ratings. Quality gets a solid 5 from me. Yes, I'm going to discount the speedometer from this just because that breaks on just about every engine I've ever had it on. Disregarding that speedometer, it's a solid 5 in quality. Everything is very sturdy. All the die casting is very well done. All the other detailing is very rugged and sturdy. The mechanism is well put together as well, so it gets a solid 5 on quality. For detail, it gets a 4.5 out of 5. For one primary reason. It has all the detail up to spec with the price point, but the problem is that some of the plastic components, even though they tried to make the finish match, it doesn't quite match. I'm not sure if it comes through on the video very well, but if you look super closely, like between the tender and the cab, or more specifically at the dome area, you can really tell which parts are plastic and which parts are metal when you look really closely. And that gives it a very uncohesive feel at times. The value for money, I'm going to give 2 out of 5. Sure, it runs okay. It doesn't really crawl. Hey guys, Post-Editing XR here. So, bit of a performance update. After a few more hours running in, I've actually been able to eke a really good crawl out of this thing. See, like, it was not doing anything remotely close to this before, and this is very close to being the caliber of the Hornby Merchant Navies, so I'm going to have to upgrade its performance rating to 4 stars. And there's not enough die cast on it to justify the price, in my opinion. Though overall, I am very happy with my model. I am glad I have it in my collection, but I do feel a little bit ripped off in some ways. That concludes this review. Have a good day.